Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and DOC number, please, sir.
Donald Lutcher, 210816.
Yes, sir, Mr. Lutcher. Good afternoon. You're here today seeking a commutation of your sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
Your sentence in May 1996 in the 32nd Judicial District, Terrebonne Parish.
Yes,
you were sentenced to life for second-degree murder. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me acknowledge we have some folks here representing the victim. We have Tracy Allen and Casey Williams, both whom will be speaking. We also have Michael Trostclair, Tippy Trostclair, Paswana Trostclair, and Lydia Trostclair, all who are here in opposition. Your case this afternoon, Mr. Lutcher has been assigned to Mr. Roche. He'll be making a presentation and you'll be asked to answer any questions he may have. And I do see, excuse me, the Thoreau Project's here too. We'll call on him if the appropriate. Mr. Roche.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Good afternoon, Mr. Lutcher.
How you doing?
Good. Mr. Lutcher, sit back, relax, and we're going to have a conversation, okay?
Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, fellow board members, we have Donald E. Lutcher, DOC number 210816. Mr. Lutcher is here this afternoon seeking a commutation of his sentence for a 1996 conviction for second-degree murder in the stabbing of his wife, Sandra Trostclair Lutcher, on April 19, 1992. He was first convicted in the death of his wife in 1993, but through an appeal to the Louisiana Supreme Court, the court ordered him released and a new trial was ordered in 1995. In January of 1996, he was found guilty again, this time by a jury of his peers, and once again sentenced to life at DOC without benefits of probation, parole, or suspension and sentence. Since his September 96 sentencing, Mr. Lutcher has made 2 additional appeals to the Louisiana Supreme Court, and both were denied. Let me see if I have my facts straight, Mr. Lutcher. In January of 1996, you were released by court order. Is that correct?
I was still in jail, but I never was released. I was still in jail.
So this release to go back to your parish for the retrial.
Yeah, back to the parish.
But you were never released.
Never released.
Okay, and you didn't go back into DOC custody until your sentencing in September of 1996.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So basically, you've been incarcerated for about 31 years.
31 years.
Okay, great. Let me get back to my report. Okay. Mr. Lutcher, you've given different versions of the events of April 19th, 1992. You gave a different event back in 92 when you said you were at the Gaither shop in Gibson, Louisiana, and Miss Sandra was at Coleman Sweet Shop, and you were on the telephone, and so you hit hike to Highway 190 near Commute Sweet Shop, which was a ballroom, and you walked to the ballroom, and when you got to the sweet shop, you didn't go in to get your wife. There was a young lady by the name of Loretta who was outside Commute Sweet Shop, and you asked her to go in. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Why didn't you go into the ballroom?
At that time, I didn't really feel I needed to go in there.
You wanted to talk to your wife, so your wife was in the sweet shop. Why didn't you go in?
I just didn't choose not to go in.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when your wife came out, you talked about 30 minutes in front of the sweet shop.
Yes,
and
sir.
then you walked down to her trailer, which was a short distance, and you talked for another 30 minutes. That's about right?
Yes, sir.
During your conversation, her brother, John Cusclair, and a guy named Greg walked up, and you said in the police report when you were arrested, when they walked up, they had their hands in their pocket, and you felt threatened. Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
Why did you feel threatened?
Well, at the time it happened, I was drinking, and I knew we had got into it a long time ago, so I figured they were gonna get into it. We were gonna get into it again.
Yeah, but why would you be threatened? Because her brother walked up, and a friend of her brother's named Greg walked up, had their hands in their pocket. You didn't see a weapon. Why did you feel threatened?
It's just, I guess, I don't know how to explain that word. What I'm trying to say, it just happened like that.
Okay, so
Yeah, what I'm trying to say.
you felt threatened.
Yeah.
So you had an open pocket knife that you said that you always carried when you were walking somewhere,
Yes, sir.
and you pulled the knife out and you stabbed your wife because she was the closest person to you. That's your words.
Yes, sir.
Why would you stab your wife when you were threatened by her brother and a guy named Greg?
Well, I guess you could say I was trying to like scare them off, and maybe I thought maybe that would blow them off, scare them off by me doing that.
By stabbing your wife, I'm gonna use your words.
Yeah.
Maybe I stabbed her once, maybe I stabbed her twice, maybe it was 3 or more times.
Yeah.
How many times did you stab your wife?
Ooh, about 3.
So I would imagine that did scare her brother off. You just stabbed his sister, and so he ran away.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Now, at the time you were arrested walking down Highway 90, you didn't have a shirt on. Why?
It may sound weird, but that I don't remember not even having the shirt off.
You had a pair of jeans on, and you were bare chested, and the police arrested you on Highway 190. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Highway 90.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, then in April of 2021, you told a parole officer that you were living in Houston, Texas, and that you came back from Houston trying to talk your wife in to come to Houston to live with you and your family. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Why a different story 30 years later?
I
Said you got in an argument with your wife. You got upset because she was seeing another man, and you stabbed her to death.
yes, sir.
Those are two completely different stories.
Well,
What's to tell this panel what the truth is?
all right. Well, I got drunk that night and I went to the trail house or wherever we was. We got into an argument and one thing led to another and I stabbed him and I took off down the road. And
So the second story is the true story.
Second story is the true story. The first one is my like when I first got picked up or wherever they got with me, I was trying to throw it off or get out, and I came up with the right story.
Just for information purposes, why would a person carry an open pocket knife in his pocket every time he took a walk?
Well, I had a reputation of carrying a knife, and people knew that. So I always carried a knife in my pocket, like for my protection.
So they wouldn't mess with you.
Yeah, because that was my reputation I had, carrying a knife.
That's not a good reputation, Mr. Lutcher.
But at the time, I thought it was.
Okay. Mr. Lutcher is currently 60 years old, and he was 29 at the time he murdered his wife. He's been incarcerated for 31 years. Mr. Lutcher, there's some indication in my documents you had pending charges at the time you murdered your wife. Is that right?
Oh, no, okay. I couldn't remember that.
Okay, pending charges. You were arrested for disturbing the peace by intoxication and entering and remaining on land after being forbidden. And you were arrested, and those charges were pending at the time you murdered your wife. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Why were you in Houston, Texas when you had pending charges in Louisiana?
So I just went to stay there, I guess. But I didn't really know I had a charges pending when I left Louisiana. So
those charges were dismissed when you were convicted of murdering your wife.
Okay.
Mr. Lutcher has an extensive criminal history. He's been arrested as an adult 10 times. 6 of those arrests involve violence, 4 misdemeanor convictions, and 1 felony conviction. Our position in this case comes from the 33rd DC District Attorney's Office in Terrebonne Parish and the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. Multiple members of the victim family are adequately opposed to any clemency. Michael, the victim's brother, Lori, the victim's sister, the victim's 2 daughters, Tiffany, Trusclair, and Tracy Allen are adamantly opposed. Mr. Lutcher has a low risk assessment. He just enrolled in victim awareness and thinking for a change in March of 23. Why did you wait so long, been incarcerated for 31 years, and you just 2 months ago and probably hadn't completed victim awareness and thinking for a change? Why did you wait?
At the time where I was in another part of the prison, I was taking other classes, and I really didn't think I needed victim awareness and thinking for a change. So I ended up taking a bunch of other classes and other programs that the prison, required us to take. So I took all of them.
Lutcher, didn't think it was important to take victim awareness when you killed your wife? And children are emotionally and physically affected by your crime?
Well, at that time when I was arrested, I wasn't thinking about victim awareness and nothing like that. Then when I got up in my incarceration, I said, well, it's time for me to change. And that's when I started taking all the classes. And when I got to another state of prison, they offered me victim awareness and thinking for a change. So I got off into it.
How long have you been housed at Louisiana State Penitentiary?
Sir?
How long have you been housed at Louisiana State Penitentiary?
Oh, about 20 or 25 years.
Okay, so
give or take.
So you've been at Angola at least 25 years.
Yes, sir.
Could it be you just enrolled in classes because you knew this hearing was coming up and you wanted to make sure that you had some programs under your belt?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
Like I said, I didn't really think about those classes. I was thinking about the other programs I was in.
Okay.
So I wasn't really thinking about those classes.
Tell me why an individual has been incarcerated for 31 years. He has no GED. He has no high school diploma. Why?
Because each time I get into the class and get further, it seems like I can't make it. So I just decide I'm not going to get back into it no more.
How many times have you enrolled in GED classes?
I enrolled 4 times.
Did you finish the literacy program?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's go to your institutional record.
Yes, sir.
You've been in state custody for about 27 years, but overall you've been incarcerated for 31 years. I see why you're still on the waiting list for substance abuse. Have you taken any substance abuse treatment or education in the last 31 years?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about it.
I've been a New Hope. I've been a New Hope class, and I've been a substance abuse. I've been a substance abuse class.
The institutional record says that you're on a waiting list for substance abuse.
All right. I've been there. So.
Okay. I'm gonna call out some courses. Have you completed living in balance? Have you completed living in balance? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Have you completed living in balance?
I barely could hear him.
Have you completed living in balance?
No, sir. I'm still in there. I'm in there.
Boy, Nambo?
Yes, sir. He has not completed living in balance.
Celebrate recovery.
No, sir.
No, no, sir.
Louisiana risk management.
No, sir.
What programs has he completed, Warden?
He only completed anger management. He did healthcare RD training, and he did a point lookout project. The last time he was enrolled in GED was in 2016, September 2016, and he dropped the course for personal and voluntary reasons. And he do have a.
I will get back to you later, Warden. Mr. Lutcher.
Yes, sir.
And I will tell you quite frankly, you like the good time programming that you need for your rehabilitation. You've been incarcerated 31 years, and I know sometimes things get in your way, but you've been at a state institution for 25 plus years, and you should have more programs than you have now. Let's see. He's housed in minimum custody. He only has 4 disciplinary write-ups in 31 years of incarceration, and that's a pretty good record. Mr. Lutcher, what was your last disciplinary write-up? November 2005.
Yeah.
And that's the only Class B write-up you have. All the other write-ups are Class A.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I see you worked for Prison Enterprises. How long did you work for Prison Enterprises?
Stayed there about a year and 6 months.
Okay. And are you a healthcare orderly now?
No, sir.
What's your present job assignment?
I work on death row. I'm a tail walker.
You're a tail walker, okay. Tell me about your organizations, the Wonders of Joy. What is that?
That was a program that they came up with, a club that came up with that was just a regular club where was teaching school and everything, but nothing really applied to it, so they just left it alone. So they just started running it like a club.
Okay. New Hope Group.
That's where I learned my 12-step program, and that's when they taught me how to do control my alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, question 25A of the annual report says, have you ever been revoked? And it states the offender was on probation when he committed this charge. So you are on probation for pending charges, and you are living in Houston, Texas. And I still don't understand that, but I'll leave that alone. Tell me about your transition plan. Where do you plan to work and where do you plan to live?
Well, my transition plan is I'm in hospice right now, and I take care of the people that's dying. So my plan is to get out and get in the hospice program and help the people that's dying that don't have nobody. Even though they have somebody, they'll help them out too. So I'm able to sit with them.
But I just asked you, were you a hospice orderly, and you said no.
No, I'm a hospice caregiver. Hospice orderly and caregiver is 2 different things. Hospice,
okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said you were a chair walker.
I'm a chair walker at death row. I do my hospice work volunteer.
Okay, all right, okay, yeah. Okay. And how many hours a week do you spend in hospice?
Well, I go like the weekend and I'll stay like 4 or 5 hours. Like this morning, I went at 2 o'clock and I stayed till 7. Then I came over here to go to the board. I have a patient I sit with that's dying, so I go sit with them.
Very good. in your institutional record, it's more fair. And the reason it's more fair because the classification officer says you have great programs, but you're lacking in educational and vocational programming. You need to start working towards that GED, get some type of education. Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult for one person than the other person, but if you put your mind to it, I would suggest that you get back into the GED program.
Yes, sir.
Let me get back to my report. So let's talk about drugs and alcohol. When did you start using drugs?
Well, I never used drugs, but I drank a lot. I was drinking a lot of alcohol.
You never used marijuana?
No, sir.
No drugs of any kind?
No, sir.
Okay, your demon was alcohol.
My demon was the alcohol.
And when did you start abusing alcohol?
I guess I was about 10 years old, and me and my little buddies used to hang out, and we used to go to the store. We couldn't buy no alcohol, so we'll get somebody else to buy the little bottle, and we'll go inside the store and drink it. And that's when I started drinking. And I was drinking regular. And like, I was drinking so regular, like when I got older, alcohol became part of my life. Everything I did was based on alcohol. I had a job, I was drinking. I would go out, I was drinking. Party, I was drinking. Wherever I went, I had something to drink. If I go to sleep at night, I wake up drinking.
Mr. Lutcher.
Yes, sir.
How long were you married to Miss Sandra?
About 2 or 3 years.
So she knew about your alcohol problem?
Yes, sir. Everybody that knew me knew about my alcohol problem. They know I love to drink. Because I had wrecks and everything.
Now you had some DWI.
Yes, sir.
Now, why were you and Miss Sandra separated?
No, I guess we just decided to separate. So.
Let me ask you again, why were you and your wife separated?
I really don't have the answer to that. We just separated.
Okay. But you were trying to talk her back to go to Houston, Texas with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. If and when you're released, what is your ongoing sobriety plan? How do you plan to stay away from alcohol?
Well, it's not how do you stay away from it, how you just don't get off into it. That's the thing. I won't be trying to drink no more because I know what it did to me and I know what it do people. So I'm gonna try to control that. And you know, like the steps say, you know, come to believe the greater power that you can help restore back to sanity. So that's what I'm gonna be trying to do. Stay away from the alcohol, not go to it.
So you're not an alcoholic anymore, right?
No, I don't drink no more. Not since I've been incarcerated.
Are you an alcoholic?
Before I got incarcerated, yes, sir.
Are you an alcoholic, Mr.?
No, sir, not right now.
So you need some substance abuse education, and you probably need some substance abuse treatment, because once an alcoholic, you'll always be an alcoholic.
Okay.
It's a lifelong disease that you have to treat constantly.
All right.
Warden Ambo, you have any additional comments, concerns, remarks, or observations?
No, sir, I don't.
Thank you, ma'am. Madam Chairman, I do have a recommendation, and I will share with my fellow board members at the conclusion of this interview.
Thank you, Mr. Roche. We'll hear support. Could we, Mr. Huntley?
Hello, Andrew Hundley with Louisiana Parole Project, confirming that Mr. Lutcher is a client of our organization. The reason that we've decided to take Mr. Lutcher on as a client is because he's been incarcerated for around 3 decades. Only one high court write-up during his incarceration showing that he can comply with rules and expectations. Class A trustee, but most especially we were impressed with his maturity and what he's demonstrated as a hospice volunteer and his community service and involvement with the Point Lookout Project. If he would be released, we would provide him with reentry support immediately after his release. We would assist him with his sobriety, ensure that he had mental health and substance abuse assessment, and then he would have the tools necessary to follow up with whatever those recommendations are, but also give him long-term case management by a peer mentor and help him with his reentry into the community. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, we have here speaking in opposition. Could we hear from Tracy Allen?
I'm here.
Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Tracy Allen. I'm Sandra Trustclair's middle child. My thing is, when he spoke about them being separated, he didn't know why they were separated. She left him because he was abusive. And he took her life because she didn't want to go back. Leaving her with 3 kids, nieces, nephews, that she don't even know, grandkids that she don't even know. And for him to want to be left paroled out, I don't think so. My family went through a lot. And she didn't deserve what she had. She didn't deserve it. And to let you know, she did leave her mark here on earth. And you speaking to her. Looks, my mom was small. You wasn't scared. You did that because that's what you wanted to do. And I know my family that's here, over there, that's willing to speak, they feel the same way. You took something special from all us, a mother, an aunt, a grandmother, friend, everybody loved, for no reason at all. And the end, what I have to say is, don't grant him the parole because he don't deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Casey Williams here.
I don't know if y'all just mic or anything. You speak loud.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So our mother, Sandra Trustclair, was taken away from us under horrendous circumstances on April 19th of 1992. We're 3 surviving now adult daughters are tormented daily at the thought of what she endured in the last moments of her life. It plays out in our minds constantly as well. We recall and reminded of the fatal sequence of that event. We wonder when our mother realized she was in mortal danger. We wonder what her murderer said to her as he delivered 28 stab wounds, with 2 of those delivered with so much force that it punctured through her frail frame from her back to the front. Or did she realize she was in imminent danger as he delivered that fatal stab wound to her windpipe? We will forever be reminded of, we'll forever wonder for how long was she conscious, knowing she would die and leave her children without tangible love. Did he ever think about the future lives that his actions affected? Her 3 daughters, her mother, siblings, other relatives, the community that would be left to question the events of that day over and over and over. Due to his actions, our mothers have missed high school graduations, college graduations, when she'll never be able to say how proud she was. She has missed out on being a grandmother to 5 beautiful grandchildren. Grandchildren was denied the experience of the grandmother being part of their lives. They were denied kisses and hugs and prayers. The sequences of events on April 19, 1992, our mother could not be and would not be present in our milestone events, nor for the future generation. Our mother is gone, we're broken. She was precious. It was our grandmother's oldest daughter. The unbearable grief surrounds this event is far-reaching and devastating on our family and their health. Our grandmother died with a broken heart, not understanding why her daughter was murdered. Her brother also succumbed to death by broken heart, blaming himself for his youthful inability to save his dear sister from being murdered. Our overwhelming sorrow comes in waves, in forms of panic, and not being able to hear. We can never talk to her, we can never hold her, we can never be held by her, and never be part of her life. We seek closeness to our mother, we have to visit a grave site. We must sit in silence and wait for our sorrows to dissipate. We listen for angels to whisper so we can move forward. So his family should be grateful to visit him in prison, write him letters, or receive phone calls, and not at his gravesite. Our lives will never be the same. Her death leaves an aching in our lives that we can never be filled. The sleepless nights are too numerous to count. The nightmares are too painful to repent. The endless streams of tears haven't stopped, nor will they anytime soon. His selfish act of April 19, 1992, devastated our family with far and further reaching consequences. His selfish act destroyed her mother and her siblings. Our mothers collided a woman for her infectious smile and pleasant nature. However, we've been robbed of that since April 19th. Instead, we hold tight to memories of what might happen. And we try to move forward, but a tremendous void will never be filled, and the heartbreak will never go away. We're sure that life in jail is hell. However, the punishment is not comparable to the punishment we've been doing for the last 31 years. Trying to wrap our heads and hearts around not having a mother in our lives because she was murdered when she attempted to walk away from an abusive husband, abusive man, and abusive marriage. Not long ago, Sandra, Trust's youngest daughter, posted her mother's story on social media in hope to just strengthen someone that's trying to walk away from an abusive partner. And one of the defendant's sisters had the nerve to tell us to get over it. It's been 30 years and we need to move on. How callous is that?
Ms. Williams, can you wrap it up?
Yes. But how can we move on without a mother, without the God that the defendant was outraged enough to murder our mother that she attempted to walk away? They said time heals all wounds, but our family will tell you the statement is not true. Because 31 years, our family has tried to heal from 28 style wounds that Sandra perspectives up to. In closing, we gather today to determine that the defendant should be determined to allowed to go to his home to family, to live a new life in a world where we are still healing from wounds. As previously stated, we're tormented there in the thought that she endured. We say no and we thank you for your time and consideration.
All right, Mr. Lutcher, is there a brief statement you'd like to make before we vote?
I had wrote a accountable letter for my actions to the family, and I'd like to read if it's all right. My name is Donald Lutcher. I'm writing this letter to share and complete understanding of the crime I committed on April the 19th, 1992, when I took the life of Sandra Trustclair Lutcher. I am very remorseful for my action and for what I have done. And there was no right found in my action for taking her life away from her family, relatives, and friends and community. I apologize for the hurt and pain I have caused you all. I realize that you all have suffered because of my terrible mistake. I decided to take Sandra's life. Since my incarceration, I've learned to take full responsibility for my actions through educating myself and participating in the state requirement courses. These programs have helped me to become a better man and ensure that this type of incident will never happen again. I am participating in substance abuse and taught me how to control my addiction and behavior. I further educate my learning by how to bring my anger under control by taking the course of anger management, which have shown me now how to stay control of my anger and turn my anger into positive situation by using different. Sorry about that. I have learned from educating myself with one of the basic tools of knowledge of being accountable for my action and learning that life I took was caused everyone so much pain and hurt that can never be replaced. However, there is no justification for my action in all what I did to Miss Sandra Lutcher, and I was wrong for that. Again, I do apologize for all the hurt I have caused to you, and I have to live with this for the rest of my life. Thank you for taking your time to let me read this letter.
Yes, sir. Thank you. All right, is prepared to vote?
Yes. Mr. Lutcher, based upon adamant opposition from the victim's family, express opposition from the entire legal community, the judge, the DA's office, law enforcement, an extensive criminal background, and a lack of rehabilitative programs, my vote is, and recommendation is to deny your request.
Mr. Mirabella.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Lutcher, you probably need some more programs, but you've done a lot of things while you've been in prison. I'm very impressed with your hospice volunteer work, your chill walker, you've done anger management, you've done a lot of work while you've been in prison. The disciplinary record has been excellent. I'm willing to take a chance on you. You've got a low risk. My vote would be today to recommend to the governor to grant a commutation to 99 years.
Mr. Freeman.
My vote today, if you had more substance abuse treatment, it would be different. But I really feel that alcohol is the main enticer behind your actions. It's what causes you temper. And quite frankly, I think it is what led to a lot of the disappointments in your life. So my vote today is to deny due to victim opposition and law enforcement.
Mrs. Jackson.
Mr. Lutcher, I do wish you had involved yourself into more programming. I do understand some of the things that you said. But I don't think you're ready yet. You've done some good things, and I want to commend you on those things. I want you to be hard. But I just think today is not the day. There's some work that you could do. So good luck to you.
All right, Mr. Lutcher, you've received one favorable vote, 3 that were not favorable, so you didn't get the vote you needed. Today, your application for clemency is denied, so good luck to you.